What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. I wrote up my review for FIFA 20 on Forbes. I put the link to it in the description, so if you want to read it, you can check it out. But I figured I'd share it here on At Me, bro. So let's get into it. Now, that nearly undisputed king of the virtual pitch is back with its latest release. FIFA 20 will be available worldwide on September the 24th, but I've had my hands on a review code from EA for about a week. As is the case with almost every sports game these days, the entire scope of the release requires more than just a couple days to completely evaluate. So after taking shots, wins, losses, and some lessons in the new VOLTA mode, career mode, kickoff, and FIFA Ultimate Team, I finally settled on my good, the bad, and the bottom line for FIFA 20. Let's start with the good. The speed threshold is liberating, and it's also logical. This seems to be one of the toughest aspects of gameplay for developers to master in a sports game. I can remember times when almost every single major series has had difficulty pinpointing the right tuning that differentiates the speedy and skilled from everybody else. NBA 2K knows a lot about that. Thankfully, EA has found the right mix in FIFA 20. In FIFA 19, the speed of your defender was almost inconsequential because they'd be able to affect the play at a high level in any case. But that's not a problem in FIFA 20. The Lionel Messis and the Mo Salahs will regularly make a fool of slow-footed defenders. Whomever is controlling the defender, they have to compensate for a lack of speed and agility with some anticipatory movement. That's great, and I think it's a logical dynamic. Let's talk about the physics. I really like the ball physics. So pardon me, I'm not one of those FIFA fans who have lambasted the series for poor ball physics over the past few versions. My biggest gripe has been some clipping between the players on the pitch during collisions, but I haven't found an egregious fault in the ball physics. That said, I'm appreciating the physics in this year's game even more. The ball seems to fly at more realistic angles and heights while also traveling at appropriate speeds. You'll see FIFA and EA are highlighting this when you see replays of goals, because you'll see this traveling dot that shows the trajectory of the ball, because they're essentially showing off, hey, we really nailed this. And I would agree they have. The gameplay overall, to me, feels more consistent with real life era. So you may have picked up on the fact so far that I really like the way that FIFA 20 feels on the sticks. It's a game, to me, that seems to be more predicated on quick passing and taking advantage of the unique skills of the game's most talented scorers. Isn't that what today's world football is all about? I mean, obviously, I'm not a hardcore world football fan as I am maybe basketball, football, or baseball, but based off of my observation and following the club that I adopted, which is Liverpool, this seems to be the way that the game is being played. FIFA 20 in that way is era specific. So what more can a fan ask for from a sports video game? Now, I'm going to get into this. Is a little bit of a long kind of a soliloquy, so to speak, but it's my thoughts on loot boxes and the fact that EA has revealed the pack odds in their Ultimate Team concept. So FIFA Ultimate Team is the series' most popular mode, and everybody knows that, and thus it's also the most criticized. I'm not one of those sports gaming fans who hates the loot box concept. So I know some of y'all are probably ready to click dislike already, but just hear me out. You still might disagree, but just hear me out. Developers aren't forcing anyone to play the modes or to spend real money to improve their teams. I'm not a major spender in collecting modes, but if I were, it would be something that I kind of chalked up to as an expensive hobby. I think people are kind of caught in the fact of, I already bought the video game. Back in the day, we didn't have to do that. Well, games are different now, and it's kind of like an ongoing piece of entertainment, and you decide to what level you're going to contribute funds to it. So many people have these expensive hobbies, and there are always varying levels of obsession and spending. Ultimate Team and similar modes aren't the evil that critics make them out to be. Instead, the issue lies in a lack of self-control and a reluctance to accept that some people play the game differently than others. At the end of the day, consumers spend millions of dollars on Ultimate Team, and there are no signs of that stopping. The critics are obviously, in my opinion, the vocal minority, because if you look at the amount of money that's coming in, somebody's paying this money, and so somebody doesn't feel the way the critics are saying that they feel. The best thing people who find fault in the concept can do is to refrain from paying into or even playing the mode at all. If they really feel strong enough about it, maybe they just don't play FIFA at all, don't play NBA 2K, whatever game they feel is in strict violation. Maybe the best protest is to not play at all. If enough people feel similarly, then EA and other companies will be forced to shift gears because the profits are going to dip. The assumption that the revenue comes from mostly minors is off base. A lot of people say, oh, well, they're all these kids and they're taking advantage of kids. Based on the information that I've seen, the vast majority of revenue accrued comes from young adults. With all that said, I do appreciate the transparency from EA. They began revealing their pack odds with FIFA 19, and that has continued with FIFA 20. Those pack odds are not in the consumer's favor. So if you are opening packs and trying to get this amazing digital item, you know what you're getting into. Consumers know what they're getting into, and it is their choice to participate. After all, there are ways to play Ultimate Team without spending real money. It's more of a grind, but it is possible. Let's talk about the Battle Pass approach. It appears that the Battle Pass was created to satiate those who are beginning to become disenchanted with the traditional loot box concept. Like many non-sports games, FIFA offers a way to grab rewards within Ultimate Team that are solely based on the completion of certain challenges. These rewards are available on a limited time, rotating stock basis, but it is a nice way to appease fans who are totally against spending real money for high-rated players. A lot of the sports games are kind of being more lenient and giving away more. If you look at NBA 2K, and I'm going to do a video about that with my team gives you way more this year than they ever have. So let's talk about new ways to play kickoff mode. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. It's kind of small, but it's one of my favorite parts of the game. FIFA, in my opinion, has long had some of the most entertaining and fun mini games in the sports video game genre, and that continues in FIFA 20. EA has taken things a little further down silly street with the King of the Hill and Mystery Ball, but I admit I love it. In Mystery Ball, the team with the possession of the ball receives a boost to a random attribute, and it awards different values for the next goal scored. It's wild and it's fun. Like one possession, you'll have +1 speed and you're blowing past everybody. Next possession, you might have +1, +2 shooting. It's really cool and fun. It's totally non-sim, but it's a nice distraction. Another one is King of the Hill, and it plays like it sounds. You battle for possession of the ball in a zone on the field, and that determines how much the next goal is going to be worth. These are the kinds of modes that you expect to play for like 15 to 20 minutes with friends, but you wind up playing it for 2 hours. Another thing that's in the good section is VOLTA. VOLTA feels like an entirely different experience. If you loved FIFA Street, then you'll likely enjoy playing VOLTA because it's essentially the same thing. There is a story attached to the single player experience, and I'll talk more about that later. But the real appeal with this mode is the speed, the pace, and the ease of play. It is the epitome of pick up and play world football on a cool virtual pitch that carries different dynamics than a traditional one. It literally plays like a different game. It's faster, the characters are bigger, the goal is smaller, and it's just different. It's just different, and it's a welcomed addition, another layer to the overall experience. All right, so that's the good. Let's get into the bad. The story with VOLTA is totally unnecessary. It's about time that sports video game developers stop forcing stories on gamers in modes that don't really require one. VOLTA is a standalone. If it was just a standalone street soccer mode with different characters, and that you can level up your characters and give them clothes and all that, that would have been enough. The story that is in place is short, but it's not compelling, and overall, it's more of a distraction than a positive element of the experience. I don't know why that it seems like all of the sports video game developers now have this desire to scratch this cinematic directorial itch. And I think that's fine because it does have a place, but just not in these other modes that kind of tell their own story by themselves. Next up is the strafe dribbling. I think it might be a little bit OP. So this is the biggest technique added to the offensive repertoire in FIFA 20. and it's basically ability to strafe dribble. The first couple of times you see or use it, once you learn how, you'll probably love the addition. However, I find myself seeing some chained combinations that weren't all that difficult to execute, but they were being put together in a way that I'm not sure is reasonably defensible, especially coming from an elite star and a guy who really knows how, a guy or girl who really knows how to use the sticks. So don't be surprised if this is nerfed in an early patch. Next, I miss the journey. Now, I know I am not contradicting myself. I know I just talked about getting rid of the story. But so while I didn't particularly like stories in modes like VOLTA or NBA 2K's My Career, I love the idea of a separate single player story with a beginning and an end. It's totally optional to play, but scratches an itch for gamers who appreciate the cinematics and solo experience. The journey was really well done, and I love the writing, especially in the first couple of versions of the concept. That would have been a nice additional layer to FIFA 20. The career mode is overdue for some major additions. I'm not overly impressed with the quote unquote enhancements to career mode. FIFA's career modes aren't the worst in the industry, but it's time that EA and other publishers of sports video games find a new way to make team building and chemistry management more fun. Now, I am a franchise and career mode fanatic. The off seasons and in between game time should be something that fans of the concepts look forward to navigating. In FIFA, this part of the experience has become stale, and it's because there's a lack of innovation in this area. Last on my bad list is the fact that FIFA is still missing top-notch customization options. Like most EA Sports titles, FIFA is missing the whole concept of customizing teams or really blowing the idea out, right? Also, like all of the other EA Sports series, except for NHL, the FIFA franchise seems to have regressed when it comes to customization. So the earlier versions of the series, even on previous generation consoles, had more customization options, which is strange. Remember when FIFA and NCAA football allowed you to create a team on your PC and then transfer it to your console? You could upload logos, you could name all of the players right there on your PC. So the transfer was so much easier, simple, and quick. So what happened to that? That seemed like so much. They never came back to that. I mean, we're at the end, literally, of this console generation. PS5 and Xbox Scorpio is coming out, and we never saw most of the EA Sports video game series really get back to where they were from a customization standpoint. That is mind-boggling to me. But that's it. So let's talk about the bottom line before I give out my score. FIFA 20 is fun, which is obviously the most important thing. The developers in charge of gameplay have done just about all they can do to make this title a joy on the virtual pitch. Its shortcomings are because of a lack of innovative improvements to core modes. That keeps it as a really good game, but a notch below a great one. My score is an 8.25 out of 10. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.